As you may know, Big Time MMA is back in beautiful Sunrise, Florida this weekend. In fact, some really memorable moments in the history of this great sport have taken place in Sunrise, Florida. I know that may sound a little crazy, but trust me on this one, it's true. And so with that in mind, I thought it would be fun to count down the top 6 greatest moments in Sunrise, Florida MMA history. And I know you're probably thinking, why 6? Well, of course, that's because the late, great Strikeforce organization had a 6-sided cage, and I wanted to pay homage to them. Let's go. Number 1. It's not a Strikeforce event. In fact, it's the last time the UFC was in Sunrise, Florida. UFC on FX, June 8th, 2012. The main event was Demetrius Johnson versus Ian McCall. First time they fought back in Australia. You'll remember they fought to a draw. And so they had to run it back. There was a weird scoring issue. And so they had DJ versus Ian McCall 2. Ian McCall probably should have won the first fight, which could have changed the course of flyweight history. In the end, though, Demetrius Johnson won via decision and moved on in the flyweight tournament. Number 5, Herschel Walker, the great Herschel Walker, fought in his MMA debut against Greg Nudge on January 30th, 2010. They called it Strikeforce Miami. It was really in Sunrise, but Miami is probably cooler. Herschel Walker won via TKO. Yes, the former football player, the former Olympic bobsledder, Herschel Walker. He fought twice in MMA. This was his first. And look at that physical specimen. I mean, it's unbelievable. I will never look that good in my life. Also on that card, and this is our 4th greatest moment, at what is now known, by the way, the BB&T Center. It's had different names. I'll tell you about that later. Robbie Lawler versus Melvin Manhoef in one of the best knockouts that I've ever seen in my life. Manhoef was chopping down the leg over and over again. Robbie Lawler's leg went up to the sky, and then some way, somehow, he did this. Boom. Knocking out Melvin Manhoef stiff. I mean, look at that. Just absolutely vicious. That also happened at the Strikeforce Miami card. It was originally called, by the way, the National Car Rental Center, then the Office Depot Center, then Bank Atlantic Center, and now BB&T. This was a fun one. Number 3, Elite XC Heat, October 4th, 2008. This was amazing because it was a former IFL fighter, Roy Nelson, going up against an Affliction fighter, Andrei Arlovsky, in Elite XC. It was so weird. It was like 3 organizations under one banner. And in the end, Andrei Arlovsky, as you can see here, knocked out the mulletless and the beardless Roy Nelson in the 2nd round. That was a great fight. That was a very memorable card on October 4th, 2008. We'll get back to that one in a second. Now, number 2, let's go back to the Strikeforce Miami card, and let's go to the main event. Nick Diaz against Marius Zaromskis. What a stare down they had. And then just look at Nick Diaz in his prime. The Strikeforce welterweight champion he became as a result of this fight. Look at this. Just pouring it on Zaromskis. In the first round, he wins via TKO. That was a crazy main card. All the fights ended via TKO or KO. Bobby Lashley also made his MMA debut, or Strikeforce debut, I should say, on that card. It was amazing. Anyway, now number 1, a moment that will live in infamy. Kimbo Slice, Seth Petruzelli, October 4th, 2008. The late, great Kimbo Slice loses his first pro MMA fight. Shocking turn of events. Seth Petruzelli takes this fight on literally 2 hours notice. In fact, this was the first big scoop of my career. Petruzelli replaced Ken Shamrock, who cut himself training for the fight, in the back. They call upon the former tough fighter Petruzelli, and he knocks out Kimbo in 14 seconds. Look at Hulk Hogan and Scala in the crowd. A shocking moment, and it ended up being, by the way, the final event in Elite XC's history. That result essentially crumbled the entire organization. A day, a night, an event that will live in infamy. And like I said, just 3 major events in that arena, but all pretty crazy things happen. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this Saturday. UFC on ESPN+. This is the lineup. Main card, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN+. It's Jacare Souza, the former Strikeforce middleweight champion, going up against Jack Hermansson, who's taking this fight on less than a month's notice. Big fight for Jack Hermansson. Big opportunity for him. And of course, Jacare trying to assert himself atop the middleweight ranks. Prelims, 7 p.m. Eastern. The return of Ben Saunders. That's on ESPN. And then the early prelims kick off at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. So you got ESPN2, then ESPN, then ESPN+. Lots of love for everyone. It's going to be fun.